Us on the phone right now, also from the East Coast, is Laura Matthews, the book editor for Good Housekeeping. Laura, thank you so much for joining us. How are you today?
I'm great, Jackie. Thanks for having me.
I have to say, what a cool, exciting perch you get to sit on to oversee being the kind of the shepherd for that Good Housekeeping seal of approval. I've grown up with that. I mean, there are very few signature stamps or nods or winks that could be as positive and such a solid endorsement as the Good Housekeeping seal of approval, and you get to do that with books.
It's really the most fun job in the world. I have to say that when I got started, listening to Aline was a lot of fun because I also entered publishing in the late 70s. At the Atlantic Monthly, and
oh, wow.
I remember watching their book reviewer. She had a room all to herself. It was in a little brownstone in Boston, and she was surrounded by stacks and stacks of books, and it just seemed to me like the most wonderful job you could have. And so now I'm sitting actually on the 16th floor of the Hearst Tower in New York City in a very modern building, but I'm similarly surrounded by books, and so I feel like I've had my dream come true. Most of the time, I don't feel as if I'm conferring a seal of approval, though. I do think I'm just trying to find books that our readers can spend some time with and enjoy, and take some minutes from very busy lives to just get lost in a story.
Well, we've been talking about how the changing nature of the industry, and how has that impacted your work as a book reviewer, as a book reviewer?
Well, actually, it's impacted my work very little. I still get book galleys from publishers by the droves every week, and still am sifting through a lot of paper galleys. But one thing I have noticed is that there are a lot more of me around. There are many, many more reviewers. They're not necessarily in print, though. They're on Internet sites. They're even just regular readers who can use their blogs and their tweeting accounts, Twitter accounts, to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to something they've read. And I've been fascinated by the entry into book discussions, I guess, of just regular passionate readers. When I go to book luncheons, I don't know, 10 years ago, you would see your peers who were reviewers at other magazines, and we would be sitting around being introduced to authors. But now there are book club facilitators at those luncheons. Sometimes there's a mom blogger who just, for some reason, has started blogging about recent fiction, and publishers now take those opinions seriously and find them great word-of-mouth vehicles. So it's interesting. It's
like the guest list at those luncheons has really opened up. It's not just specific to the industry. It's really it's almost like sitting with also the people who are reading the books.
I think that, you mentioned the nod and the wink, which I guess is the allusion to, I know somebody who's the editor of such and such a book, and he or she can put that book into my hands. But there are an awful lot of other people out there expressing their opinions and quite articulately. There's a site called Goodreads.com, where one of my favorite sites.
Sending everybody there.
It's kind of a crowdsourcing site, and I occasionally go there because a lot of booksellers get galleys early, and they're members of Goodreads.com, and sometimes they'll post an early review even earlier than I'm able to, because we have such a long lead time. So I think it's great that there's so many places where people can find out about good books. But of course,
we did a big giveaway for one of our books, which is one of our commercial break sponsors, Alex Details Revolution, that was really popular with the Goodreads crowd. So it's really interesting to hear that is a place that you'll dip into too, to see what people are talking about.
I will. But of course, most of the time I'm sitting here reading books for my audience and trying to decide what might be the best of what's offered each month. We have a book review section called Recommended Reading or Book Picks, and every month we select 4 books. They're sort of the the front runners of everything that we've been reading. There are lots of books that we can't cover that I find personally wonderful, but I try to pick 4 titles that our readers could take. They could take the list to the bookstore, to the library, and have a month of really great reads. So that's the philosophy behind our.
And also what I garner is that you're very clued into what a Good Housekeeping reader is interested in.
We get a lot of feedback from our readers. They write to us on Facebook. They send us letters. We receive nice notes saying, I loved the book picks. I took it to the library, and just it's very gratifying to get have that feedback loop. And of course, we're much more accessible than magazine editors were 20 or 30 years ago because of the internet, and because we're on all these different platforms, and we get a lot of feedback on what we're doing. We also use books. We excerpt books in our Goodreads section, so readers can get a taste, a preview of something that's wonderful coming out that month or the next month. That is a long tradition here. We have been publishing fiction for 125 years, and readers who have been with us for a long time remember the days before soap operas when we would serialize novels over a period of months, and there might be 5 short stories in the issue at the same time. Those days are past, but we still publish fiction regularly, and I think we're probably the last women's magazine, last monthly magazine of our size to publish fiction, look for original fiction. And we're going to be having we're in the middle of screening stories for our latest short story contest.